Hi there. Welcome to Safe Option Strategies. Welcome to our presentation on protect and grow your money at the same time. I have right under that on the screen, it says never lose money again. That's the key to everything. Every amount of success you have in the stock market, one of the biggest keys is learning how to not lose money again. My name is Jeffrey Dunyan. I am the owner and founder of Safe Option Strategies, and I'm doing this recording a little bit different than the way I've done it in the past. A lot of times I have a group of people on live with me, and I present this in kind of a seminar format, and we might have anywhere from 35 or 40 to I've had as many as 200 people that have been on live with me at one time. I'm doing it a little bit different right now. I'm sitting in my office. I'm all by myself right now. I don't have a live audience with me. I'm just talking to you. This is kind of a one-on-one thing. I know you're listening to a recording, so it's not a back and forth dialogue, but I'm just talking to you. And a couple of things. Number one, thanks for taking time from whatever you were doing today, whatever else you had planned, whatever was going on. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to tune into this recording and watch this. I want to share a couple things with you. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe if you're taking time out of your schedule to watch a video like this, it is my sincere belief that you are hopeful to do better in the market than what you've been doing up to this point. That there's something about your trading that you want to see improved. And maybe you're making some money, but you think you could make more. Maybe you've been losing some money. Maybe you're not in the stock market yet and you want to get in the stock market, but you're a little bit nervous about it. You want to make sure you do it the right way. Maybe you've got money in the market, but you haven't managed it personally. You've had a broker do it, and maybe you're not real satisfied with what your broker is doing, or they're charging you too much money. There's a variety of reasons why you might be taking time out of your schedule to watch this presentation, but I really believe that at the heart of whatever is going on, you believe you can do better than you're doing, you believe you can make more money than you're making, and you're looking for the right way to do it. So with that in mind, I've conducted this little survey over the last couple of months. I've had a lot of conversations with people, some who have seen a presentation like the one you're watching right now, some who have not, but I've had a lot of conversations. I've asked people, if you're thinking about getting your money in the stock market, or you've already got your money in the stock market, what is it you want? What do you want from the market? And so I'm posing this question to you right now. What do you want from the stock market? These are the answers in order. These are the answers that I got. Some form of these answers. Retirement, and hand in hand with retirement for a lot of people is security. The majority of people that watch a presentation like this are either getting close to retirement or they have recently retired, and they are looking for some additional security. The money from their job, from their career, is not there anymore. There might be a small pension, there's some Social Security, or they know those things are coming, or they hope they stay around while they're there. But what they ultimately want is to not have to give up their lifestyle and to have a secure retirement. That's the number one thing that people want from the stock market, is a way to have that security in their retirement. The number two answer, and it's not a real distant second place, it's a little ways back there, but the number two answer is income. They really want to generate income right now. How can I take this money that I've saved, if it's $50,000, if it's $100,000, if it's only $10,000, how do I take the money that I've saved up to this point and have this money working for me to generate income for me right now today? Now, very close to that, I've listed it as another item, but very close to that is lifestyle. Maybe they don't need monthly income, but what they'd like is to grow the portfolio enough that they can do additional things. They can add to their lifestyle, a home remodel, a vacation, a cruise, buying a new car, buying a new home. They've built up a certain amount of money, kind of don't want to give up that principal balance. They want to keep that as part of that retirement security one, but they'd like to add to their lifestyle, enjoy a little bit more, have a little bit more. Number four, I get some people that just say, I just want to be wealthy. I just want to grow this thing and be the next Warren Buffett. That's a lofty goal. That's admirable that they want to do that. And then the last thing is, occasionally I get people that say, I've got some real estate. I own a little bit of property. I've got some money in the bond market. I'm doing okay there. I've got my pension. I'd like to be a little diversified. I've got some money in savings. I'd like to get another vehicle added to what I've already got, and diversification. But these are the 5 things that I've discovered, and I've kind of intuitively and over time in doing this, I've known this for a while. But in the last couple of months, when I've asked people this very specific question in order, these are the things that people want. So as I'm talking just one-on-one with you right now, sort of, you don't get to talk back. Isn't that what you've always wanted, is to be able to talk to someone and they can't talk back to you? Anyway, as I'm talking to you one-on-one right now, I'm guessing that one of these strikes closest to where you're at, or maybe a couple of them encompass where you're at right now. If I were to ask you, what do you want from the stock market? I'm willing to bet that it's one of these 5 things, or a combination of these 5 things. And in your mind, they might rank a little bit different. This is what people are after. So how do you do that? And how do you do it confidently? And how do you do it successfully when we don't know when something like this is going to happen? This is our it's going to be referred to for decades to come. This is our COVID-19 market collapse, our COVID-19 recession. It'll be called the Corona recession, or the Chinese virus recession, or whatever. But this is it. It came along and it hit us from out of the blue. And I'll tell you, one of the most frustrating things for me is not that the markets went down and the indexes went down, and the only way the market indexes can drop is because all the stocks that make up those indexes are dropping. That wasn't the frustrating thing for me. The most frustrating thing for me about this drop is the people who claimed that they saw it coming, the people who claimed that they predicted it. I've got a competitor. Safe Option Strategies offers a complete full education program to teach all the stuff that we're going to go over here. This is an introduction into what we do and how we do it. But I have one of my competitors who, back during the month of March, late March, early April, when things were starting to recover, we'd hit that bottom point in this drop and things were starting to bounce back up a little bit. And they went on radio and TV commercials, and over again, I heard a repeat of this radio and this TV commercial. If only you had bought our software, it predicted exactly when this was going to happen. You would have saved all of those losses. You would have saved everything. We were the only ones out there. I'm paraphrasing. We were the ones who predicted this. Our expensive, $15,000 software. They don't say that. They don't say our $15,000 software package, but that's what it is. This particular company, they sell a software package and a few classes and a little one-on-one help with people who I'm not even sure if they trade real money. And they bundle it up and they put a pretty bow on it, and they sell it to you for $500 up front, and then they get you for another $1,500, and then they get you, to get the next piece of it all, they get you for another $3,000 or $4,000. Their whole package, their entire program, costs almost $15,000. And so again, I'm kind of paraphrasing and sort of making fun of their commercial. But if you would have just spent that $15,000 and had our software, it predicted that this was going to happen. You wouldn't have lost anything. The reason that really, really bothers me is because this exact same company, since 2008, when the markets had this big a percentage drop the last time, you got to go back to 2008 when the 3 major indexes sold off about 50% each. That's the last time we even got close to this kind of a number. We went past it a little bit. This same company has predicted, on average, 3 times each year for 12 years that we were going to have a drop of 30% or more in the markets. That's ballpark 35, 36 times they've predicted this. They've been right 1 time. and you got to pay $15,000 to be right 1 out of 36 times. The point I want to make is, if you're listening to someone who tells you that they predicted this, they are lying to you. No one predicted this. No one saw this coming. That's why they call it a black swan event, is because you can't see this kind of thing coming. So we've got this big, ugly, nasty market drop, and this is what keeps people from being consistent and making money in the market. It doesn't always have to be a drop this big. We've had this phenomenal recovery, and the markets are always going to correct, and they're always going to recover as long as there's fundamental growth in the economy, and that can disappear for a couple of quarters or even a year or two at a time, but it eventually comes back. It always has. But even in the midst of a recovery like this, it's these types of events, periods of time. This was one of the single biggest one-day drops in the Dow Jones Industrial Average in history. It wasn't the biggest one. It was one of 2 or 3 biggest single-day drops in the Dow. Unbelievable. We had another scare for a couple of weeks where everything started to pull back. It looked like we were going into a bearish market again here. These are events that are very difficult to deal with if you're not constantly prepared for them. And I'm going to show you how to be constantly prepared for this type of thing. Because I'm not going to lie to you and say that I predicted this. I will be truthful with you and say I was very prepared for it. The students of Safe Option Strategy were very prepared for this to happen. We didn't predict it, but it didn't hurt us a bit. Okay, these types of things are an anomaly. They don't come around a lot. These type of things happen all the time, and these are portfolio busters. These are things that people that want to be consistently profitable in the market, they want to make income, they want to build their retirement, they want to feel some security while they have their money working for them. They're the ones that get hammered by stuff like this. And it's not just the individuals like you and me that are trading the markets. The brokers, the people that you expect to be experts, the hedge fund managers, the mutual fund managers, the certified financial planners and registered investment advisors, they don't get it right any more often than you do. Do you realize that? If they got it right all the time, and it was only the individual traders like you and me that got it wrong, the indexes would never do this. No one would ever report a loss in their portfolio. No one would ever do anything except be up hundreds of percent every single year if the brokers and the hedge fund managers and the mutual fund managers always got it right. Truth is, with all the different tools that are available to us right now, they don't get it right any more often than you and I. I'm going to show you how to put the odds way, way in your favor to get it right more often than they do. So here's the next question, the next big question. How can you protect your money and grow it at the same time? Now, I'm going to get into a couple of different trading styles. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of different trading styles. If you are new to the market, some of the language isn't going to make a lot of sense to you, but I want to tell you right up front, it's part of what we teach at Safe Option Strategies. I had a gentleman a few weeks ago, and he may end up listening to this presentation again. He listened to the presentation, and he started trading emails with me, and he had some good questions. He asked questions about, well, what happens in this scenario, and what happens in this scenario? And the first couple of times he emailed me these questions, I answered him, and I said, well, when something like this happens, this is what we do. Or when you get a situation like this, here's what you do. And then he kept going. And it took me a few emails to realize he was trying to learn our program just by asking me questions through emails. And I finally had to send him a couple of emails in a row, answers to his questions saying, Mike, we teach all of this in our program. These are good questions. It's why we have an education program. It's what we teach. Listen, before we go any further, and at the risk of maybe you deciding to sign off right here after I tell you what I'm going to tell you, at the risk of going any further and wasting your time, let me be really clear on something. I'm going to introduce you to a couple of strategies that we use at Safe Option Strategies to help people be secure protected, and still grow their money. I'm going to show you some examples of some real trades. I'm going to show you a real portfolio that has had tremendous growth based on these strategies. But I want to be really honest with you and be really upfront. I respect people generally I respect people too much to be dishonest with them and to try and deceive them. At the end of this presentation, I am really hopeful that I will have showed you enough that you'll want to take a close look at purchasing our education program. That's the reason I'm doing this recording right now for you, is in the hope that I will show you enough to get you interested. My goal is not to teach you how to be a profitable and a successful trader 100% free of charge. I started Safe Option Strategies 15 years ago. I've run it as a very successful small business. I've helped a lot of people make a lot of money in the stock market. I've helped a lot of people save their fortunes in the stock market. I know this sounds pretty bold to say it, and I hope it doesn't come off in a conceited way, but I'm really good at what I do. I've been doing it for a long time. I trade the way I teach people to trade. I'm not one of these people that tells you to do something and then I do something different. I trade the way I teach people to trade. And it's worked very well for me. And my hope is that I show you something that gets you interested enough to ask some questions and see if what we're doing is a good fit for you. But if you're unwilling to make a small investment into learning all of this, I'll save you the time of the rest of this presentation. And I'll tell you right now, we're not the right fit for you. I am not interested in working with the something for nothing people. Listen, I'm a nice person. I really believe, I think I'm a pretty nice person. I have no tolerance at all and no desire at all to work with the people that want something for nothing. Okay? If that upsets or offends you, log off, go out on the internet and search for all the free information you want to search for, and you will get exactly what you pay for. You will pay nothing, and ultimately you will get nothing. If, on the other hand, you are willing to make a small investment in yourself, and this is assuming, and we may not be the right fit for you, but assuming you see some things that you believe are a good fit for what you want to do, if you see something in the next 20 minutes or so that is appealing to you in the standpoint of how you want to trade and how you want to grow your portfolio, and you're willing to make a small investment in an education program, watch the rest of this presentation and then ask us as many questions as you want. If you start asking questions about how all the strategies work, I'm going to politely say, that's what we teach in the education program. But let me give you a taste of what we're doing. Let me give you a sampling of what we're doing. How can I protect my money and grow it at the same time? I didn't mean to get off on that tangent for that many minutes. I didn't mean to take that much time, but I don't want to waste your time. Again, I'm doing this in a way as though you and I are having just kind of a one-on-one conversation. I don't want to waste your time, and I'm not going to allow you to waste my time. So watch what we're doing and see if any of what we're doing, if you think it's a good fit for you. Okay? One of the two things that we teach at Safe Option Strategies is the collar trade. The collar trade involves owning some stock. Now, some people get turned off immediately by that. Some people that say, I'm an option-only trader. That's all I want to do is trade options. Stay with me. We have a second part of what we do that is option-only trading. But let me first talk about the collar trade. It involves owning stock, using a long put option, just like an insurance policy. A lot of people don't realize that a long put option, when used in the way it was meant to be used, works almost exactly like an insurance policy. I'll show you how in just a second. And then we use a covered call option. that pays you money right now with the possibility of you having to sell your stock later. So a covered call is really simple, and you may be familiar with this if you have any option trading experience at all. You're probably familiar with a covered call. Someone pays you some money right now, but in exchange for you taking that money, they have the ability to buy your stock from you at some future point in time, only at a predetermined price. So you get to control what price they pay you for that stock, plus you get some money right now. It's like they give you a deposit to hold the stock, but they still have to pay the full price of the stock that you agreed on down the road. Okay, here's how a collar trade works. We go out and we buy some stock. Okay, let's say we bought some shares of stock at $100 a share. We go out and we buy a long put option. Now, a long put option, just like an insurance policy, it has a value that it's worth, it has a premium, and it has a protection mechanism built up. In the case of the long put option, if we bought stock for $100 a share and we bought some long put options, we would buy them at a $100 strike price. That means no matter what the price of the stock does, no matter how far the price of the stock drops, we now have the right to sell that stock for $100 a share. That's what that long put option does. Then we go out and we get the covered call, and we get a credit. Someone pays us. And usually the way we teach you to set it up, you're going to get credit and get money paid to you right now for that covered call, which is going to pay for the long put. It's like having an insurance policy on your stock, but having it for free. So you get this collar trade set up, and I'll give you a couple of real examples of them in just a second here. Something happens, the stock moves down, COVID-19, the 2008 recession on the financial collapse and the mortgage collapse. Who knows what the next thing might be? It may not be the whole market going down. It may be a stock that you own that reports a horrible earnings period. And there's a scandal with the CEO, and Washington threatens to come in and impose regulations and restrictions. It could be any one of these things. It doesn't have to be a cataclysmic event like a pandemic. You own the stock, something happens, the stock goes down. The value of that long put goes up, and it corresponds with the loss in the stock. And once that has happened, you've got a couple of choices. You can exercise that long put, which gives you right to sell the stock, but you get to sell the stock clear up here at the $100 that you paid for it. Or you can actually sell the long put. And if the stock has gone down $50 in value, the long put is going to be worth at least $50 in value. And so you sell the long put, and it offsets what you've lost in the stock. That's how a collar trade works. Let me give you some real examples of some collar trades. I don't know if you're familiar with the company Snap. Snap is the company that owns the social media app called Snapchat. And if you don't use it, you've probably got kids or grandkids that use it. I had to learn what Snap was, not for purposes of trading. I had to learn what Snap was a few years back because my kids use Snap. I had a couple of adult kids. It's young adult kids. It's the only way I could communicate with them. That's how they wanted to communicate, was through Snapchat. So you could go out and buy some shares of Snapchat right now today for about, what is it? 21, the mid price right there, $21.63. Okay, you could get someone to pay you 58 cents per share credit. I'm looking at this mid price right here. You could get someone to pay you 58 cents per share credit, and you could buy protection for 18 cents. Now that gives you a total cost of $21.30. And since you have the right to sell your stock at $21.50, you have just created, with the use of a collar trade, you have just created a zero risk trade. Let me give you another example. Pfizer, PFE, that ticker symbol right there is for Pfizer, the drug company. Stock's trading at $37.56 right now. You could get a short call that would pay you a covered call that would pay you $1.17 a share. you could protect your position for about 79 cents a share. Your net price to do all of that would be $37.18, and you've got the right to sell for $37.50. You've protected yourself. You have a zero risk trade. The number one thing we use the collar trade for is to protect your investment. Here's another example with American Airlines. Inexpensive stock right now. Sure hope they come back soon. They've been beat up really badly. This is a company that could do really well as restrictions continue to ease on the whole coronavirus thing. Stock's trading at $13.41 right now. We could get a covered call for $1.19, pay $1.15 for some insurance on the stock, and our total cost would be, $13.37, and we have the right to sell at $13.50. Zero risk trade. Okay. I knew I had one more in there. I went past it too fast. Facebook. That's the ticker symbol for Facebook. That's a more expensive stock. Not as many people have the ability to own 100 shares of Facebook. When you're dealing with options, you've got to work in increments of 100 shares. But if you could afford to own 100 shares of Facebook, the stock would cost you $294. You could get a $13.68 per share covered call, pay $14.40 for a $295 strike long put. That's where you have the right to sell your stock at. You have zero risk. You can set up collar trades on virtually every single stock that has options available with it, and you can set up a zero risk trade. When people join our program, when they buy a membership in our program, oftentimes one of the first things I do is get on the phone with them or get online with them and make sure the stock they already own is perfectly protected with zero risk. I'm gonna go back for a moment to that other slide. Let's see. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, trying to do this anyway. Okay. I thought I was going to go back to that other slide. I wanted to go back to that slide that showed the drop, the 35% drop. See, I told you earlier in this presentation, I didn't predict that. Our company didn't predict that. We honestly did not know that was going to happen. But because we had a large portion of our portfolio set up, just like what you're looking at right now, when it happened, we didn't lose anything. We did not lose a penny. I got an email from a student that joined our program in January. Keep in mind, in January, we were still about a month away from knowing the ramifications of the COVID-19 virus, and we were about a month and a half away from our entire economy grinding to a halt and shutting down to try and prevent the spread of this virus. He bought our program in January just because it made sense to him. It looked like a smart idea to him. I got an email from him about 1 week into April when the market had hit a bottom and was starting to come back up. And the gist of his email, I'm not going to quote it or do it word for word. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but the gist of his email was, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am that in the midst of this drop in the market, I have not lost one single penny in my portfolio. Your program was worth its weight in gold. That was the gist of his comment to me. We didn't know this was coming, but we were completely prepared for it because we had trades set up that could not lose any money. Now, there's also a lot of profit in collar trading. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I don't want this presentation to go too long, but there's a lot of profit to be had in collar trading. Recognize this ticker symbol right here. It's the same company I was talking about, Snap. I got interested in Snap a few years ago because that's when my kids told me about it. And Snap had their IPO back in March of 2017, just a little over 3 years ago. This is not a trade that I did. This is a trade that one of my students at Safe Option Strategies did. They shared it with me just about a month and a half ago. They shared the details of this trade with me. I had no idea during this time that they were collar trading Snap. Gentlemen got in my program back in January of 2017. And at their IPO in March of 2017, at the IPO, he bought 300 shares of Snap for $7,200. 300 shares of Snap for $7,200. Okay. Look at what Snap did immediately following him getting in. He got in and it immediately went down. Now, he knew very, very little about collar trading up to this point. If he had told me he was in Snap, I would have been able to help him a little bit more. This is when he came to me and said, hey, I'm taking a beating on this. I need some help. So I helped him get a collar trade in place on Snap to make sure it didn't get any worse. This is what happened after that. He made back a little bit of what he had lost right here, and just ahead of an earnings report right here, this was an earnings report, he made sure he had a collar in place. And the long put options that he had up here, when they got worth a whole bunch of money down here, remember I said when the stock drops and you have long put options that are up here, you can either exercise those options and sell your stock, or you can sell the options. And he took the cash from selling the options and he added 100 shares, but he did not have to add anything here. He got the long put options just ahead of the earnings report. He got a covered call in place that paid for these. So when the stock went down and the options went up, he had profit right here from long puts. And that's what he used to add 100 more shares to his position. He did not have to add any investment to his position. That's a big key factor in what we do and what we teach here. Okay. Snap recovered a little bit, and then he got some technical indicators to show that they were turning. We teach you all of this in the program. We teach you how to spot these things. He got his collar trade back in place on this stock. They had a big, huge drop, and the profit from long puts that were up here to where the stock was trading down here, all that profit in those long puts was enough for him to add 500 more shares of stock. Again, he did not add to this investment at all. The short calls paid for the long puts, and the long puts made a lot of profit. Then it started getting really exciting. At this point in time, he was still down because of this loss that he took initially. His overall position was still at a loss, but he had now added 600 shares to his beginning 300 shares. And then it started to get exciting. When Snap got back up to $18 a share, still at a lower price than where he originally bought in, he had $16,200 worth of stock, $9,000 profit on the original $7,200 he spent. He was up 125% when Snap got back up to $18 a share. Fast forward a little farther, he was protected, didn't really make any money during this stretch, but he was protected, got the stock to go up a little bit again. Interestingly, Snap had an earnings report. He was protected up here. They had an earnings report that started to knock him down here. They started to recover a little bit, and this is when the pandemic hit. So this little bit of sell-off was protected because he was going into an earnings report, had his long puts in place. This was all the pandemic. Right around here, he was able to add another 400 shares with no added investment. All he's doing is taking the money he made from those long puts and adding it back into the position. Now, Snap has fallen back down a little bit, but this was when he reached out to me and shared the results of everything that he had done. Okay, I had helped him get into this and get this set up. Right back here is where I helped him get into it. It helped him get protected. Everything he did after that, he did on his own. And this is when he shared it with me. He had 1,300 shares, started out with 300, and on 3 different occasions, he added shares without increasing the amount of money he spent. Now, this was over a long period of time. This was over 3 years and 3 months. But look at the percentage return he had. And you want to know the craziest thing about this? When this thing got right up here to 26 and some change, 26.41 to be exact, you realize the stock was still trading for less than what it IPO'd at? The stock was still less than where it IPO'd. And he was up 376% over these 3 years and 3 months. This is how you protect your money and grow it at the same time. And for those of you that think you can't afford to collar trade, that's not a huge amount of money he had in this position. I did not know it at the time, but he shared with me, when he gave me all these details, he shared with me that that was pretty much all he had to invest. He didn't have much more than that. That was pretty much it. This is one, I'm not going to go through this step by step. This is one that we actually did with our students. So this is a trade that we sent out to all of our Safe Option Strategy students so that any one of them that wanted to get in and duplicate what we were doing could. We did it with 400 shares. You could have done this with 100 shares. You could have done this with 200 shares, 300 shares, whatever. You have to work in increments of 100 shares with options. But we did this back in June of 2015, and 3 years later, we were up 194%. Now, you take 194%, you divide that by 3 years. That's an average return of just under 65% a year. More important to me than an average return of 65% a year, more important to that, we never had any risk. At no time during this trade right here could we ever have taken a big loss if suddenly something would have happened that caused the markets or this particular stock to just fall through the floor. That's the power of what we're doing. This is what we teach people how to do. Okay, I'm running low on time, so I've got to hurry. That's how to protect and grow your money. That's how to build up a retirement. That's how to keep the retirement you have very secure. How can you trade for income and lifestyle right now? Through something called spread trading. You may be familiar with spread trading, but let me show you a little glimpse of what we do with spread trading. If you're not familiar with spread trading uses options only. When you use options only, typically you have much higher risk that goes with the higher reward. That's the way most people use options, through spread trading and through something called trade adjusting. Maybe you've heard of it. There's a handful of companies that claim to know how to teach you to adjust trades. We've been doing it longer than any of them by far. Options were primarily made for hedging, like in the collar trade. That's what the original use of options was designed for, was to hedge your position, to protect yourself, either through the use of a long put in conjunction with stock or using a long call to control 100 shares of stock that you don't have to pay nearly as much for. As soon as people had options available, instead of using them the way they were intended, they immediately started using them for more leverage, and that's what created the much higher risk. Spread trading combines the higher, spread trading combines the higher reward aspect of using options with the hedging that options were meant for, and we get the best of both worlds. We get a much higher reward. We still have trades that are very hedged, and when you add to that the ability to adjust a trade. Let me tell you really simply what a trade adjustment means. Every time you place a trade, especially when you're placing a trade with options only, every time you place a trade, you are making an educated guess on what you believe the price of that stock is going to be, or what it's going to do, excuse me. You're making an educated guess on what you think the price of that stock is going to do. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to stay flat. You're making and you might have a lot of technical indicators. We teach you which ones you should look at. You might have a lot of fundamental analysis. We teach you the most important things to look at in fundamental analysis. We teach you how to read charts and read patterns, and you're going to make as educated a guess as possible. But do not ever forget, it's an educated guess every time you place a trade. You're betting on what you believe the stock price is going to do. That's okay. That's part of being in the market. When a trade goes against you, when you've done all your homework and you've determined that this particular stock is going to go up and it's going to go up approximately this much over this amount of time or more, and therefore I'm going to put this particular trade in place to take advantage of that, and you open the trade and something happens the next day and the stock is selling and it's going the opposite direction, and you're thinking, oh no, I just put $5,000 into this trade and I'm already down $2,500, and if I stay in, it's only going to get worse. Doesn't have to. Through something called trade adjusting, we can manipulate one or both of the options, roll it to a different strike price, a different expiration date, or both, and we can literally turn the direction of the trade to match the direction the stock is going. And through picking good companies and good strategies and good trades to put on, and then teaching people how to adjust, this is what we've done so far this year. This is every trade, spread trade. These are the option only trades. None of these trades that I'm showing you right here involve stock ownership. The option only trades let me show you. 49 trades so far that we've placed. Already had 37 of them close for profit. We've had some that have taken a loss. The losses would have been a lot worse if we didn't know how to adjust trades. Our net return so far this year is 118%. I'm going to come back to this chart in a minute. One of the biggest keys to what we do at Safe Option Strategies is teach you how to do all of this, but give you the ability to make money from day one. Okay, it's one thing to learn all the stuff you need to know to get good at what I've just introduced you to. Okay, you can look at what I'm showing you and you can say easily, hey, that would really be worth it to learn all that stuff. I can see how learning all the details of what he's doing and what's led to this success, that makes a lot of sense to learn all that. But how can you start profiting right now today? Because chances are, you don't have the kind of time frame that a freshman in college has. You don't have time to spend 4 to 6 to 8 years learning something before you'll start actually making money from it. Before I tell you how we go about teaching you and helping you make money at the same time, let me tell you really quickly what you're up against. If you're taking time to look at my program, I'm willing to bet you've either participated in or you've looked at other programs. This is what most of my competition fits into one of 3 categories: the con artist, the dreamers, or the price gougers. And some of them are combinations of 2 or all 3 of these. The con artists, they're the ones that just plain and simply lie to you about what they're doing or about the ability to teach you how to do it. Okay, let me give you 2 great examples of the people that I think are the con artists. You've maybe heard the commercial before. I took $4,500 and in 2 years, I turned it into a $50,000 per month income. And now if you'll buy my expensive, $12,000 program, I'll show you how to do the exact same thing. Okay, that's the con artist. If that individual actually took $4,500 and turned it into a $50,000 a month income, there is no way in the world they can show you how to do the same thing, because you don't do that unless you just flat out, plain and simple, got lucky. There is no way to duplicate something like that. I'm not saying people don't get lucky and do those things once in a while. I happen to know that this particular system that I'm referencing, I happen to know that they used a particular strategy that was working really well for them right up until 2013, when suddenly the market got a little bit wobbly and got a little bit flat, and had a couple of strong pullbacks. And all of a sudden, the people that joined this program back in 2013, most of them ended up losing a lot of money. And they never made anywhere near the gains. The reason I know this, I have over 100 students of safe option strategies that have been through this program before. Hey, that's the con artists. The dreamers are the ones who may have the ability to teach you some things that may help you be a little more profitable, but they're completely unrealistic about what you're going to get in return. One of my favorite ones on the dreamers, and it may fit into the con artist category a little bit as well, is I took $2,000 and 2 years later, I'm flying around on private jets all over the world day trading, and I'm going to teach you how to, making millions of dollars day trading, and I'm going to teach you how to do the same thing. Maybe this individual took $2,000 and turned it into a couple $1 million or millions of dollars in a couple years, but they can't teach you how to do that. They're dreaming. They're absolutely dreaming. Okay, the last category is the price gougers. Let me be really clear here. There are some companies out there. I'm not going to mention them by name. There are some companies out there that probably have some pretty good information that they can teach you, but they oftentimes want $15,000 to $20,000 or more to do so. Okay, I know of a couple of companies that if you're brand new to the world of trading, they'll do a great job teaching you how to do fundamental analysis, how to do technical analysis, how to do basic stock trading, when to pick the right stock at the right time as best you can. It's still educated guessing. How to do different types of option strategies, how to pick the right option at the right time. They'll do a pretty good job of teaching you all this stuff. They want a ridiculous amount of money for it. Back in 2000, 2001, I went through an education program that is not around anymore that was $35,000. $35,000. They had a good format. They taught some good information. It was ridiculously expensive. It took me forever to recoup that money, and I actually recouped it after I developed some strategies of my own and started safe option strategies. The most grateful thing, the thing I'm most grateful to about that company is that they taught me what a passion I had for this, and they're a big part of the reason why I started my own company. It wasn't to compete with them. They're not even around anymore. But it's a large part of why I started my own company. I knew I could teach people how to do this and not have to be one of these people, and not set unrealistic expectations, and not be a con artist. Okay? You've all heard this before, right? Or I say you all, I forget. We're talking one-on-one here. Feed a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish and you feed him for life. I've always loved that saying. I have always thought that made so much sense. It is so much better to learn how to do something than to just constantly have someone else doing it for you. Isn't it just so much better to be able to learn it and get good at it? The only problem with this saying is what happens if the man starves while he's learning to fish? That's the challenge. You've got kids going into college now, and they're getting $100,000, $200,000 in debt as they're learning stuff. And before they learn enough to actually feed themselves, they're drowning in debt. They're starving. And now they're trying to dig out. And that's a real modern day example. How can you keep a person from starving while you're teaching them how to fish? At Safe Option Strategies, we've got over 60 recorded streaming classes that teach all of the stuff that I've just introduced you to. You go at your own pace. Most of these classes are 40 minutes to an hour long. A couple of them go just a little over an hour. They are packed full of information. Everything from the most fundamental basics of how the stock market works, how to open up your first brokerage account, how to put your money in the market, how to buy and sell a stock. how to buy or sell an option, all the basic stuff, all the way up through complex portfolio management and complex option strategies and complex adjustment strategies. We cover it all. And you can go through it as slow as you want or as fast as you want. You can watch these classes over and over and over again. Multiple times every week, we send out trades that you can just copy us and get into. Instead of just teaching you how to fish, we're going to keep you fed. We're going to teach you how to fish on a cruise ship that's got a buffet open 24/7. So that while you're learning how to catch the fish yourself, you're never going to be hungry. From day one, if you decide that we're a good fit for you, from day one, you can start placing trades that we send out to you. And even if you don't understand the trade, even if you don't understand exactly how it works, you can just copy what we're doing and start making money from day one. We have daily live classes where we discuss what the markets are doing and what trades we're in and what the next adjustment might be. We help you with all of this stuff. We have an open chat room that we're in front of all throughout the day while the markets are open, and usually for a couple hours before the market opens and for an hour or two after the market closes. And anytime you want, you can ask a question and get it answered. And it might be about a trade that you're in. It might be about a trade that we're doing. It might be about a concept you're learning. And you get real support from real traders. More than half the time, I'm the one probably answering your questions. And I've been trading very profitably and very successfully for a long time now. But I've got some employees who are not even allowed to answer the phone or answer a chat unless they're heavily involved in trading and following the strategies that we're doing. And as a result of all this information we give, I just went back the last 7-8 years. This is how we are outperforming the market indexes every year. You know, I've only got, if you look close, you'll see there's only 1 year in these last 8 years that we have not more than doubled what the best of the market indexes has done. Back in 2013, this is with the trades we're sending out to our students. We generated 46% return. Now the Dow and the NASDAQ had some pretty good years. We did not double the NASDAQ. Came close on the Dow, didn't double the S&P, but we still outperformed them by a pretty good percentage. Every year after that, we have more than doubled what the market has done, and we're up 118% this year. And guess what? Let me go back a little bit. The Dow is barely getting back to break even. The NASDAQ has had a pretty awesome recovery. They're up as high right now as they got last year. And the S&P has moved into positive territory. And we're crushing what they're doing. And these are the trades we're sending to our students. Okay, I had this on the screen earlier. I want to zoom in here a little bit. There, I've just taken that bottom box there and I've zoomed it in. This is where we're at so far for the year. And we've got 1 full quarter plus 1 full month still left this year to add to this. If all you wanted to do was follow the trades that we send out, you can make a lot of money while you're learning how to do this. This is not unrealistic stuff. This is an actual screenshot taken just earlier today from a portfolio that is putting in place all of these strategies. And in this portfolio, year to date, it's actually outperforming this because in addition to all these trades, this portfolio did a handful of additional trades using these strategies. This is not fake stuff, folks. This is not made up. This was a $5,700 account at the beginning of January and has not had 1 single penny added to it. And as of the day I'm recording this, it's up 163%. with a quarter left in the year. This is what we're doing. This is what we're teaching people. Okay? You got to learn to be protected from this. Learn how to not let things like this wipe you out, and learn how to take advantage of and make great money on moves like this. And we can show you how to do all of that. That's what we do. That's what we're good at. Okay, I'm pretty much done. If you would like information on how to join our program, right below this video, there is a little form you can fill out. Put in your name and your email address. Only put a phone number. Only put a phone number if you want someone to call you. If there's no phone number there, we will not call you. You're welcome to ask any questions you have. But let me tell you really quickly what you're looking at. I believe in being upfront and honest with people. I believe in full disclosure. So let me tell you exactly what our prices are of our program so that you don't think you're going to get conned or something when you call in. Our collar trade course only, if that's all you're interested in and all you want to learn, is $1,500 annually, $2,500 for a lifetime membership. Our spread trade course, if all you want to do is option only trades and you're not interested in owning stock, $2,000 annually, $3,000 lifetime. You can combine them and get a nice little discount on it. If you combine them, you're going to save about $500 on each, but for a very limited time. And when I say limited, I'm talking until the end of this month, which comes up on Monday. Through the end of the month, the annual price and the lifetime price of the collar trade course will purchase you the entire program. In other words, if you want the combined program, 100% of everything we offer for life, you basically get it for half price. If you just want it for a year, you basically get it for half price. This discount is only good until the end of August. And I'm going to back my screen up here and tell you one last thing, and then I'm going to sign off. Only for those individuals who will fill this out and email us, only for those individuals, I will email you back with one additional added discount, because honestly, I like to work with the people who are most serious about doing this. I like to work with those individuals who want to grow their portfolio and they're serious about it. They're willing to make an investment and they're willing to put in a little bit of time. And those are the people that I want to work with. And I will reward those people who are the most proactive. If you fill out this form, I will, whether or not you put a phone number, if you put a phone number, I will call you back. Or if it's easier for you and you don't want to fill out the form, call this number right here. Might have to pause your screen and leave that on for a second so you remember it. Call this number if you'd rather do that. All I'm going to do is answer your questions honestly. But for those people that will do that right after they see this presentation, I'm talking to you one-on-one, if you will do that right after I'm done, I will send you out details on an even deeper discount than what I've already shared and make this pretty hard for you to turn down. I hope you'll take me up on it. I hope you'll at least ask some questions about what we're doing to determine if this is a good fit for you or not. And if you know already that it's not, or if you know you're just not going to spend the money on it, I want you to know I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I wish you nothing but success. I've gone almost an hour, so I'm going to sign off right now. I hope to hear from you. Thanks. Bye-bye.